Thank you for joining us for The Drive Back, the movie podcast where we imitate our favorite thing to do after a movie, which of course is to talk about it on the ride home. I'm Garrett, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend and co-host Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
And today, we've got another first-timers. What is a first-timers, Adrian?
First timer is where both Garrett and I have not seen the movie, so we're watching it for the first time.
I couldn't even get a sip of my drink because that was the quickest I've ever heard it put. That's literally it. But that's right, and today we've got a film that, I don't know about you, but this film has been hyped up for me to no end. But we're going to be taking a look at the anime film Your Name. So all of this coming up on the drive back. Alrighty, and we're back here to take a look at the 2016 anime film Your Name. Obviously, this is the first time, so neither of us had seen this before. Did you watch this in the original Japanese, or did you watch it in English?
I watched it subbed. Or dubbed, sorry. I watched it dubbed.
So you watched the English version?
Yeah.
I did the same. I didn't notice until afterward that it was a separate movie that you can rent in
Oh,
Japanese.
I didn't either. I just rented it.
Yeah, I clicked on the first one. So.
Yeah, same.
But let's go ahead, give a little blurb about the movie. Released in 2016, Your Name is directed by Makoto. Oh, before I read this off, I am going to probably screw up some of these names. So I am apologizing ahead of time. But Your Name is directed by Makoto Shinkai and stars Ryunosuke Kamiki, Mone Kami Shiraishi, and Ryo Narita. I hope I am saying those correctly. That's the smoothest pronunciation I've done all day.
Don't ask me.
Two strangers find themselves linked in a bizarre way. When a connection forms, will distance be the only thing that keeps them apart? It's also worth it to note that Your Name is currently the 70th highest rated film of all time on IMDb. Which is huge. We've been getting a lot of these high rated movies on IMDb lately, so maybe we gotta start looking at some bad movies. Intentionally. Let's go ahead. Some spoiler-free thoughts for Your Name before we dive in.
For me, you said that this game has been hyped up endlessly. I actually hadn't heard of this movie until it was suggested for the podcast. I mean, maybe like in passing, like I probably could have played it off that I had known about it, like I knew vaguely that it existed.
Yeah.
But it was kind of one of those movies that I feel like I like animation, I like anime, and I feel like this is just one of those movies that I felt like probably I would never watch. I don't know why. I didn't know how good it was. I didn't hear anything about the esteem of it. So, like, non-spoiler, initially, I think it definitely deserves its place as highest grossing. This is definitely a very large-scale film done really well. It's got a lot of nuances to it. The scope of it is really large. Initially, if I had to give you one thing, I think it jumps around in time a little bit, which might be a little bit confusing to people if you're kind of just jumping into it. Like I would maybe watch something or maybe be used to time travel films a little bit or time jumping films. But yeah, I really, really liked it first shot. It was great.
Nice. I really enjoyed it too. I think that it's kind of like that meme. Not gonna lie, it kind of had me in the first half because like the first part of the movie, I was like, is this really what everyone's raving about? And then there's some story revelations that happened that blew my mind, and I knew that you would like those when they came out. I think we both enjoyed the movie. Again, if you did not listen to the show last week, if you would like to watch Your Name, it is available for rent only. It is not available to stream on anything, so you're going to have to pay to watch it, which, please, I mean, this movie deserves, any kind of financial support it can get.
Even though it's already the highest grossing film.
In Japan, yeah.
In Japan, yeah.
Important to know.
Which I think I did look it up. I think it earned like equivalent to like 109 million US dollars.
Oh, okay.
Which is, if you think about like Endgame that earned billions, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just because it's in Japan and it's talking about like as a domestic film in Japan.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just saying it's crazy, like the scale that movies can get to. It's definitely
absolutely.
really, really crazy. Yeah.
It's insane. But I mean, when you have something as big as the MCU, it kind of makes sense. But let's go ahead and drop a spoiler warning. We are going to be discussing major spoilers for this movie.
The spoiler banner.
Okay. I was wondering what that was.
You should edit it over my hand coming down, the spoiler hammer.
Well, let's go ahead and talk spoilers for this movie. I did not see the big twist coming at all.
Of them being in the same?
No, I knew from the trailer and everything I'd seen about the movie that it was about them switching places. And I thought it was just going to be like a Freaky Friday type thing.
You're talking about the time change.
I'm talking about the time change, but also the fact that the city is fucking gone.
Gone? Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
Just absolutely gone.
That hit me like a freight train. I was like, what the hell?
And the reveal of that actually comes at the very beginning of the film. When they show, I mean, they don't show this. Well, they kind of do, but the beginning opening film where they're both saying that poem together when it's showing like the duality of their lives, the stars coming down is actually the middle of the movie.
Oh, that is that.
Yeah, that's a jump. It's like, or it's not a jump in time, but the movie, or I guess it is. That scene takes place in the middle of the film. Okay, like that happens again. Yeah, it's literally the same scene.
Interesting, because what I was expecting was just like a Freaky Friday trading places type movie, and like be like cutesy high school kids, meh, like your typical anime. But no, it really pushed beyond that.
No, I think this was actually probably. I got really big Interstellar vibes towards the end of this film.
Oh yeah,
in terms of like love being the missing key kind of thing, and like transcending time and space. I really got big kind of that scale of film vibe from this for sure.
Yeah, it has a big a big scope, like, and you don't even really kind of get that until the last 30 minutes. But it's really nice.
Yeah, the third act. Yeah, for sure. The third act really kicks off.
Yeah, the back third. But also, let's get this out of the way. This film is beautifully animated.
Yeah, definitely gives any Studio Ghibli film a run for its money.
I think it looks not better, but I would say it looks more detailed and realistic.
Yeah, it's a different style for sure. I would say this is more akin to like anime you could find on Netflix, like a show. I definitely felt like there was
better than that. Yeah, this is
but I mean like the style of it. I think it's more detailed and refined, but the style of it feels very like Netflix anime. But it's definitely way leagues ahead. Absolutely. Really, really great animation. It was really, really incredible to see some of the visuals, especially like the larger landscapes that happen. I mean, it's breathtaking. You almost forget what you're watching. It's really, really crazy.
Even like the rain in Tokyo looked incredible, and like there were shots of traffic that I thought were just real, and they must have animated over it. Like it looked like the movement looked incredible.
Yeah, crazy.
But also, the food in this movie looks incredible.
Yeah, I found myself being like, when is dinner ready?
I was eating dinner while watching the movie and getting hungry while eating just because the movie looks so darn good.
How funny.
Oh my gosh, especially like that one where like I think it's it's the girl that works with Taki in the restaurant, and they're accompanying him on the train. And
I don't remember the dish though.
No, they open up the box and there's like the chicken breast in there.
Oh yeah,
so
and good. It's like steaming basically.
I just ate and I'm hungry again. But yeah, this movie's absolutely gorgeous. I do have one criticism though, and it really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It really interrupts the flow of the movie.
Oh,
which is the music.
It's
not bad music. Don't get me wrong, but there's moments when like it's like something like serious will happen, or it's like a dramatic story beat going on, but then all of a sudden you get like an anime style intro song that just comes out of nowhere. It just felt weird to me.
I did not pick up on that. It felt like it gave the movie some style for me, like its own kind of musical identity. But I didn't get it, but I can see what you're saying. That I could see that.
Because like I've watched enough anime where it's like it almost felt like a new episode was starting every 20 minutes. And I was like, oh, it's a new episode of the show. It's a new intro song.
That's funny.
It was just weird, but
I did want to talk about one of my favorite parts of this movie, where Taki, right?
Taki is the main male character, and then Mitsuha is the main female.
Yeah, Mitsuha. Where Taki is looking for, right, doesn't know who she is or whatever, but he goes to the site of the destroyed city, and that's kind of where you figure out that, oh wow, we're in this time gap. But then when the text messages start deleting themselves off of his phone, and like every trace of her starts to completely just disappear, except the bracelet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was super cool in establishing that, yeah, we knew the bracelet was important, the ribbon, but establishing that, like, that is the only link, which comes around later when he gives it back. And it's that one shot to me was so significant because it established the weight and importance of the ribbon. So when he gives it away, you understand what is being given.
Yeah,
it's the connection. It's the only connection that has sustained. And I thought it was beautifully set up for that moment. Really, really incredible.
Yeah, and I think, did they ever really explain like why the texts in the diary entries disappear?
No, I think it's just one to add weight to the film, but I also think it's that, like, kind of one of those things where, like, it lived, that connection existed, and then once he saw and learned more about the situation, the connection changed. And the connection was obviously magical to begin with, so maybe those text messages maybe those texts were never real. Like, they existed, but they were magical.
Yeah, which was like, I remember at the beginning when they start, because at first it's kind of unclear when someone is in someone else's body. It can be a little hard to tell sometimes. Like,
it jumps back and forth quite a bit as well.
Frequently, yeah. Like, I mean, like, it'll be different. Like, he like Taki will be running like this, but then like, like this one moment you're like, okay, that's Mitsuha in his body. Mm-hmm. But in that, there's a lot of great humor in the beginning.
Like,
like, if you know that if any guy, no matter how nice of a guy you are, if you're in a woman's body and you just wake up, you're gonna start doing what Taki did. You're gonna sit there and play with your boobs. Like,
I do that now.
Right? Gotta have a little extra weight on you and get some action going. But and it also makes sense. Like, she's in his body and just refuses to like acknowledge that. Like, one of the funniest parts for me was when she just walks out of the bathroom as Taki and she looks incredibly embarrassed.
Like she's seen something she should not have seen.
But what I was getting at though is like it gets really quick into them connecting, and I like that because I feel like if you were in someone else's body and you were doing the same exact thing, you would be establishing communication as quickly as possible.
Oh, well, because you'd wake up and you'd be like, what the heck is happening right now?
Yeah.
So immediately you'd leave a note for yourself. I would say the second time it happened, you'd start leaving notes. Just to be like, okay, this is now repeating itself. I need some way to keep track.
Exactly.
And yeah, the whole the diary thing where they're writing back and forth, that was super cool. But yeah, I love the whole beginning where you don't even realize that it's 3 years apart. I think it's super well done in terms of storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I had no idea it was coming.
Yeah.
Like that was just.
I think I had a little bit or a tiny bit, maybe like 10%, because that opening scene showed the city and that happening. So I felt like they were definitely in a different timeline. Or maybe I didn't know it was the same overall timeline, but I thought it was like maybe an alternate world where she was still alive, kind of thing. Like maybe it was a different timeline. But speaking of changing timelines, the scene where she has to run to her father and be like, all it says is "I love you" on her hand, and she has to be like, "You need to evacuate the entire town right now." Mm-hmm. I mean, what a great final act to the film. Absolutely adrenaline filled and stressful.
Oh yes, yeah. Like I was completely just riveted during that back half. I was like, they're not going to do the whole like changing the past thing. Oh yes, they are. Okay.
And it's going to be huge. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I really love the explanation, this natural explanation that's given that everyone is connected to something, and that connection is just like the most beautiful thing or whatever.
Yeah.
The grandmother says, like, just so incredibly smart.
And I really liked as well, for my kind of, I guess, the end of the movie, I really liked that they both sacrificed everything to save her town. And that meant, I forget I think like a decade passes
That's like 5 years.
afterwards. Yeah, but so now they're in the same timeline, both are alive, but then the whole train scene was crazy, where it's like literally just in passing, you see someone, it's like, wait, and he does that double take in the train window, and it's like, I gotta run, I gotta go find her, and she thinks the same thing.
Yeah.
Just really well done storytelling.
You know, it was funny. I started at the film. I was like, "Oh, they're gonna end up together after being in each other's bodies." And then, after everything that happens, I was like, "If my thought literally changed. Like, if they don't end up seeing each other and meeting up, then that would be stupid."
I wonder if it would have been. Here's a talking point. Would it have been better if they didn't?
That would have been interesting. I think if they kind of went with like the idea. If like it was a different story, right? So like kind of like so the comet that's passing overhead, it would have been interesting if they were connected because of the comet, but they were both seeing the comet from alternate like realities or something. Mm-hmm. So they were able to see each other for that brief moment, but then never again because it's not his Earth. Yeah. They could have gone more sci-fi with it. I think that this was better though.
Well, I mean, like, what if at the end, right? They've gone the decade or 20 years or whatever of not seeing each other. And instead of revealing that it was each other, what if it was like maybe he just saw the ribbon on a girl and we were left to interpret whether that was her or whether he's just looking for that connection?
That would have been better if they didn't show Mitsuha's Mitsuha's friends in the cafe.
Yeah, beforehand, yeah.
Exactly. I think that would have been worked. That would have worked better. But I think that this movie's going for a feel good.
Oh, I agree, and I think it worked.
It's not like Inception.
It was great. Yeah,
Is he still dreaming?
Yeah, the dreidel at the end. No, I think, and it's not worse for it. I was just trying to think about how this movie could have ended differently, and maybe maybe they workshopped the alternate endings because it really feels like this movie could go a lot of different ways at the end.
No, yeah, definitely. Will they get together? Who knows? But I just actually realized something. There is a dead giveaway. Because I thought about this during the movie after they really revealed the time difference. If you look carefully, Mitsuha's phone is... They're all using iPhones. It's animated to look like an iPhone, but it doesn't have the Apple logo. Mitsuha's iPhone is an older model. It has the boxy, like, silver-edged, kind of like the iPhone 4 or 5 kind of a look to it.
Interesting.
And then Taki's looks like a modern, like the iPhone 11, where it's more rounded.
So the difference in 3 years.
Mm-hmm. I kind of noticed that during.
I don't know if that's a dead giveaway. I think that's more of an Easter egg.
Well, not dead giveaway, or like a really deep cut.
Yeah, like you have to really be paying attention to the technology.
I was like, why are the phones different?
That's pretty incredible. And then I really liked, too, at the end when they actually finally, officially learn each other's names. Mm-hmm. Like, it comes full circle. Like, yeah, we know the names throughout the whole film, but they struggle throughout the entire film being like, I just can't remember. I just don't know who that is. And then at the end, when it's finally, everything's in right order, they're both alive, they've met up again, and they tell each other's names. It is such a nice ribbon per se on the present that is this movie. It was incredible.
Yeah, it was fantastic. And it's also really nice that, they didn't kind of push the romance too early.
Yeah.
Like they didn't hug during the twilight hour. Like it was kind of like, more of a conversation like, why did you touch me like that? Which was great.
I think it was more adventure driven for the most of the movie. I don't think it was even I mean, there was obviously this like connection of will they, won't they kind of thing, but I think it was definitely more spiritual and adventure driven.
No, yeah, definitely, and even a little bit of the mystic too, right? Because everything is given away, or not given away. Everything is foreshadowed in this movie. The connection they have, the shrine, the twilight hour discussion in the school, like it's all foreshadowed, and subconsciously that something's coming, but you totally forget.
And then when it happens, you understand it. You're like, oh yeah, we talked about this already.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was
masterful
fantastic.
writing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but anything else you want to kind of touch on? Because I mean, I think just kind of universal praise going on over here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's not a negative, but I really liked the family dynamic of her family, Mitsuha.
Mitsuha. Mm-hmm.
Mitsuha. I really liked how they played into what felt like a pretty grounded version of what happens sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like they could have definitely given that. That was very much a C plot to the film. Like it definitely didn't need to be a broken family or anything like that. But I felt like it added a lot of depth in just a couple scenes to her character. And I really, really liked it. I feel like we kind of understood more of who she was just based off of kind of scenarios that she was in. And I mean, nothing else. I guess just more praise, but really, really great film. I get it. Definitely deserves to be highest grossing. Definitely deserves to be watched. Really, really good movie.
Well, is that your final thought?
That's my final thought. I gave this movie a 96.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I pretty much completely agree with you. I think Your Name is a beautiful work of animation that centers on two realistic and incredibly likable characters. I would say there's no real, nothing makes you hate them or dislike them. But I feel like the only thing that kind of goes against the movie for me, like we talked about, was the music. Just every once in a while,
Sure.
It's like, oh, here's a new intro song. Here's a new intro song.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think the movie's fantastic. I think it's a must-watch. I think both of us agree it's a must-watch. For my score, I gave it a 95. So
Ooh, close. We've been
there.
close lately.
We have been. This is
Yeah.
This is good. I mean, I'm still not able to predict it, but
This is good.
we are lining up. But that's going to bring us to an end for this First Timers. Pretty short one, but we're both saying
It's a great movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, like one thing that's I think like I need to address every time I watch an anime film, whether it's for my blog or for the podcast here. Please put aside your bias against anime and watch these movies. Like, there are a lot of people who are listening to the podcast who will not watch it because it's anime. And that is just such a wrong mindset to have. You're really closing your mind off from some of the best animated films ever. Just because of a stylistic or foreign thing. I don't know. Just watch it. But I feel like this one's really easy to step into. Like, you don't really need to know anything about anime to get into this.
I would also say, and not to knock it, but this one feels distinctly American influenced in a lot of its storytelling.
Yeah.
I felt like I feel like this is a very approachable film for a Western audience. I think it's definitely one that you can, like you said, just step into and understand how the movie works.
Absolutely.
There's nothing really unique about how they did the film. It's just a great story and great animation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I would liken it to Ghibli films. I think it's pretty easy to get into. Another film...
Definitely up there. I would say, on par with Ghibli for sure.
I would say another film like this that's very good. I watched it on the for my blog last week. Is a film called A Silent Voice. It's a lot more heavy and emotional than this movie is, but it's a very, very good film as well. So, but if any of our listeners or viewers or anyone that is ingesting our content wants to follow us online, where should they do so?
The Drive Back Podcast, anywhere you want. You can find us here on YouTube if you're looking at us. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button and then ring the bell. We post every Monday with a new movie or set of movies to review. If you want to follow us on a podcasting app, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, whatever you please, that's also the Drive Back Podcast. And then if you want to talk to us, we post on Instagram whenever we have an update, and we can go ahead and talk with fans there. They like to tell us if they're interested in the movie that we're reviewing or if they're not interested in the movie we're reviewing. But we love to hear from you either way. And then if you really want to do something cool, Garrett's video movie review blog has been picked up by LinkedIn and has been featured along the likes of the New York Times.
Wall Street Journal, yeah.
Or Wall Street Journal. Yeah, what a crazy... Same, that's in New York. What a crazy scenario.
Yeah, my review for Eternals was picked up on a LinkedIn news article, so...
And I haven't read it yet. I'll be honest, because I haven't seen it yet, and I'm waiting to go see it.
There you go. I would say go see it. That's all.
Oh yeah, you're from what I saw. I think you're the only one that said that.
Well, it's because everyone else is wrong. So.
No, I know. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I think it's awesome to take differing stances on things. So I love it.
I feel like most fans have seen it now, and they're like, again, not to delve too much into this because that's not the point of the episode, but like it's a good, not great movie. If that makes sense. I would never say don't watch it because it's going to have ramifications for the MCU.
Sure. And it might have more. It might be better later when stuff comes in to tie even more. So
yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if any of the Eternals make for characters in the movie. But
we'll see.
But anyhow,
congratulations!
Yeah, so as Adrian said, you can check out my blog, which will be linked below, also on the screen here if you're watching. GarrettO'KeefeFilm.blogspot.com, where actually I think by the time this goes up, I will have seen The Harder They Fall, and that'll be reviewed, the new Netflix Western. And then I don't think anything's coming out this weekend. I think Belfast is the only thing, but I will not be here to watch it. So, but next week, like we have teased, is the big one. We're talking Star Wars next week.
Woo!
We're talking all 11 movies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Solo, and Rogue One. We're not watching the animated Clone Wars movie because I'm not counting it.
And we're not doing even though I've seen most of them, we're not doing any of the shows.
Yeah, this is a movie channel. We don't do the shows.
Even though they might be better than some of the movies.
Depending on who you ask. Yeah. The one time we talk about TV shows is one of the episodes at the end of the year where we go over our favorite stuff from the year. That's about it. But other than that, that is going to be it. All those movies are available on Disney Plus if you have a subscription, if you want to watch them beforehand, or maybe watch some of the newer ones, maybe because you've been putting them off. Who knows? But we'll be back next week, so make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all those things. Follow us for updates. We love you so much, and we'll see you guys next time on The Drive Back. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Drive Back. Make sure to be on the lookout for new episodes every Monday, and make sure to follow us on social media.